Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday 10 at 10. And I am live on LinkedIn. So if you would like to send me any more questions, please do so on LinkedIn. And on Tuesdays 10 at 10, me and Richard either me or Richard comes on to answer all the questions that come onto Bakerpedia. Okay. And you got to take note of these questions and where they're going, because obviously these are the trends that people are working on. Okay, so if you're a marketer, this particular session is very important to you in terms of assessing what's new and what's needed out there. Okay, okay, let's pull up the questions. All right, first question. I am developing a product that is somewhere between a waffle and a pancake. Waffle and pancake. That sounds to me like a chemical leavening system. Okay. It has different sweet fillings in it, and I tried vacuum sealing the product to extend the shelf life, but after 5 days, it is dry. I am aiming for 2-week shelf life. What preservatives can I use to help me achieve the longer shelf life? Well, my baker friend, it's not a preservative that you need, okay? And depends on the kind of formula that you have. Your formula might be too lean. So the first thing I would do is increase the caloric content of this particular product, either through fat or sugar. Okay, fat and sugar is going to reduce the staling of this product. Okay, that's what it's happening in your product when it's dry and crumbly. It's staling. Okay, go to our staling page to learn more on how to reduce the staling of your product. You can increase the richness of the product. You can increase the enzymes in your formulation so that you can have a longer shelf life and less starch retrogradation. Okay, so I hope that helps. I understand the vacuum sealing is going to help keep in the moisture, so you are not losing any moisture. You are just having a huge starch staling issue. Okay. And I do not think 2-week shelf life is going to be impossible for a product like that, especially if it has a sweet filling in it. Okay, now the problem here is, what is the activity of your filling? Okay, if you put water in it and you don't bake it out as well, then you're going to have mold issues. Okay, so I assume from what your main concern is, that mold is not an issue. So let's target, getting the crumb around the filling softer. Okay. All right. Good luck. And if you need more help, come onto our Baker Help page, and we have consultants there that can help you. Okay. Next question on soy. Is there a parameter of soybean to produce delicious soy flour? Maybe like moisture content and color of soybean? There is a whole market for soy-based and soy flour products. Okay, I am not a soy expert. So you have to reach out to someone who is has more expertise in this. But basically, most of the flour that you see in the market right now is defatted soy flour, and it's a byproduct of the soy milk industry. Okay, but most flour content should target around 14%, so that you will not have much of a mold issue. Okay, the color of the soy flour is hugely dependent on the kind of extraction that you have for the soy milk and the process of it. There's so much going on in this field. Okay, why don't you look up universities that have done a lot of research on soybean oil, soybean flour, soybean byproducts. Okay, places like Ohio State University, Iowa State University, anywhere along the soy belt in the US would have a lot of research on that. So please reach out to those universities and their extensions, their food science extensions, and you should be able to get your questions answered. Okay. This one's on malt. So there are two kinds of malt, right? We're talking about the diastatic and the non-diastatic malt. So non-diastatic malt is enzymatic free. So you just put in from the taste and the color. Okay, it doesn't do anything. The diastatic malt has enzymes in it. Okay, so it could produce it has amylase, so a longer shelf life is expected out of it. This particular question asks, could I use diastatic malt in cake to produce a melt in the mouth taste? Yes, you can, but the impact of malt is not as strong as the impact of something like fat or sugar. Okay, you put fat and sugar, whew, you get get cotton in your mouth. Okay, like cotton floss, right? Candy floss. Sorry, candy floss. All right. So the more sugar and the more fat you add, the more melt you get in your mouth. Okay. If you're trying to go away from more calories, you might try something like malt, but you won't get the same effect with malt as you get with sugar and fat. Okay, still give it a try. I don't know what formulation you are working with, so it's really hard for me for the comment on it. Again, we have $100 questions where you can ask questions like that and get it answered in 15 minutes. It's on our Baker Help page, okay? How do you keep sodium metabisulfite from clamping and hardening? By putting into a airtight container. Very simple. I don't need to really elaborate on that. Or open it and use it immediately. Okay? It's probably receiving all that moisture from the air and clumping up. Ash in flour. Next question. Do you know of any brands in the US that has low ash flour? So every single mill out there has a low ash flour blend. Okay, if you are a commercial baker, you just have to ask for it. And if you go to our ash page, we talked a little bit more about ash in flour and the function of ash in flour. And basically, you know, if you are looking at the commercial space, the store shelves, right? The flour with the least ash is the cake flour, okay? Because ash is most detrimental in cake quality. But if you are a commercial baker, this is what you need to ask from your flour mill. Okay, you specify that your ash level needs to be as low as possible. Okay, so you have different types of flour you can find from your miller, and there is different grades to it. So check out our milled wheat flour page and also our patent flour page. Okay, so you can understand a little bit more. So usually your ash amount is somewhere between 0.45 to 0.55 for bread products. Okay, I wouldn't go less than that because number one, two things. Okay, number one, you pay more for it. The less ash, the more expensive it is. Why? Well, because you're taking out a lot of the bran. Okay, for the miller to get more bran out, you got to put it through more reductive processes or more sifters in the process. It means more additional process to the steps of producing the flour for you. Okay, so that's why it's more expensive. Okay, number two, you're taking the nutrients out. Why do you want to take the nutrients out? It's more nutritious if you leave the ash, the bran in there. Okay, so unless you are producing a really, really fine product, like what in my mind, some Japanese products would be like the Hokkaido breads, the Hokkaido cakes. They are really, really white and they're really, really refined. Okay, unless you're targeting those kind of products, you should just use typical bread flour. Okay. All right. So I hope that answers your question. One more question I've got coming to me is, how do I get a good year on an artisan bread? Okay, so for some of you who don't know what a year is the break and shred where it folds back a little bit, right? Some break and shreds, they just do this. Okay, a year actually has a little neat fold back to it. So that is really based on one thing, oven spring. Okay, oven spring is key to really good year formation. Okay, how do you get oven spring? Oven spring can be manipulated by the yeast and the strength of the dough. Okay, so let's talk about the yeast. All right, because it's a simple one. Don't ferment too long. Leave some fermentation left in the oven spring of the oven. Okay, how do you get oven spring? Hang on. All right, you get oven spring by understanding thermal profiling. With a good oven spring, you want to delay it till maybe about 55% of the process. Okay, artisanal breads are very different from pan breads. All right, so just remember to put the thermal profile in the middle of the loaf. Just, imagine this is an artisan loaf, right? And just send this through in its insulator to the oven and target a oven spring of 55. Okay, and then you will get solid oven spring. Okay, do not give too much of a proof. It can actually shorten the proof so that you can get more oven spring. Okay, so that would be the number one thing I look at is fermentation, and to encourage fermentation in the first part of the oven, you'll get beautiful oven spring. Number two is strong dough. Okay, there are many ways to get the strong dough, but let me summarize it here for you. Okay, strong dough can be obtained through full dough development. That means during your mixing process, you have to make sure that you develop the dough properly. If you have a terrible final dough mixing process, then you're not going to get a good oven spring. Okay. Longer fermentation improves the protein quality so that you mix better, so that you get a better oven spring. This is the reason why a lot of the artisanal bakers give overnight fermentations, give 13-hour bulk fermentations, because they want to just improve the protein quality, and it gives a really nice year to it. Okay, now in a commercial setting, sometimes that's not it's just not feasible to provide 13-14 hours of bulk fermentation. So what do you do, right? It's the proteins that you're targeting. So this is where dough improvers come in. Okay, you have to put in dough improvers if you don't have that much of a fermentation. Okay, so dough improvers improves the protein quality, the protein strength, so that you mix it up better, so that it processes better. Okay, so with that, with a stronger protein network, a better quality protein network, you are going to ensure that you're being formed in the loaf. Okay. One last thing, you can always add in vital wheat gluten to increase the protein quality, right? So increase the protein quality and quantity of your product by just adding in vital wheat gluten. You'll get a pretty good spring there, okay? Lastly, don't forget, thermal profile the heck out of your industrial baking process and understand your process really well, because that oven spring depends on it. Okay, to learn more about this, we are going to have a seminar on industrial artisan bread baking. It's going to be September 17th, and it's sponsored by Erex. Erex, the makers of Malt. Okay, so please sign up today and come and attend and listen in depth to what I have to say about mixing, dough development, protein quality and quantity. Okay, so that's all for today, and I will be seeing you all tomorrow again, where I'll share more tips on artisan bread baking. Okay, bye.